We're here at Paul's to talk about the Ferrari and see what he's done. Buckle up, put it in gear. Let's get the show on the road. All right, guys, here is the Ferrari 1979 308 GTS.
Correct.
Paul got it, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
I think this would be, today is Monday, so that would be the third week.
So, yeah, 3 weeks ago it came in,
Mondays.
rolled off that trailer. You guys saw that in the first episode. And look at it now. In 3 weeks, he's torn it apart, made it just a pile of junk.
I hate when stuff is together.
He can't stand it. You can see the bumper is off. What's that off for? What are you doing here?
Well, the previous owner wasn't very, they didn't care much about originality. They wanted to make the car look like a newer car, a 328 is what I can figure, because a lot of the things are modified to look more like a 328. So they painted the grille black, which isn't a 328 thing, so I'm not really sure about that bad taste move. But the grille was painted black, so it is, it's actually out by the door, but I'm stripping that down to the original silver anodizing and may or may not have to reshoot it silver. The bumper is off because I had to access the radiator hoses, and there's some little bolts in here that hold this lower valance on it. We were intending to take that off of the car, but we ended up being able to get to everything without it. So I'm going to put those bolts back and reassemble.
Yeah, guys, the engine is in the back, but the radiator's up front. That's where it needs the wind flow.
Yep.
So there are coolant hoses that run from the front to the back.
AC, condenser, and radiator, one behind the other.
Yeah.
There.
And I noticed these were black when it got here.
That's one of the things of the 328 or the Quattro valve. They try to make it look more like the more modern car. So in bad taste, they painted these black. Okay, in bad taste, in my opinion. Some people might like it. But they painted these black, and they also did the seats in the later model style. So they wanted to make it look like a more modern car for whatever reason.
Now, I told you when it came in, I did like the black vents. But honestly, now that they're red, I think I prefer the red.
Yeah, me too. Well, I mean, I didn't want them black just because it wasn't original to begin with, but I think they look much sexier red.
Yeah, I honestly thought you were making a mistake there, but I'll take that back. They do look good.
They're not installed yet. I still have to screw them down. But if we get the car ready for the debut at Cars and Coffee this Saturday, of course, we'll have to screw them down.
Right. Paul is trying to get this done in a week to get it to Cars and Coffee here in Lafayette. And just show it off. I mean, that's what these are made for.
Absolutely, yeah. Just let people check it out. And I mean, if somebody had driven up in a 308 that at a Cars and Coffee I was attending, I promise you it would have been a hit with me. I would have been drooling over it.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to love it. Now, it has the stock wheels. Those are somewhere around here.
Okay, yeah. They're in a pile over here. We can look at them in a second. Those actually aren't the factory wheels for this car.
Oh, really?
A 1979 would have come with 14-inch wheels. I thought, for whatever reason, because Tire Rack listed it as such, I thought it had 16-inch wheels. It has neither. This car, for whatever reason, I say that a lot about this car because the previous owner did a lot of stuff for whatever reason. They had installed these metric 390 millimeter Michelins and gotten a set of these TR390 wheels for it. The tires for these wheels alone are about $1,800. A set of wheels that fits a standard 16-inch tire rim is less than that, less than $1,800. Right. So I just bought a set of wheels. They should be in hopefully maybe by the end of the week, but I don't know. And a set of Kumo tires that I can replace easily one at a time for next to nothing compared to this.
Right. So these aren't the wheels that came on when you got it, but originally these aren't
Right.
Wheels, but they are Ferrari wheels?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Ferrari put these wheels on the cars after 79. Somebody can correct me in the comments, but something like 81 to 83 or something like that. They put the 390 wheels on them. These wheels apparently this wheel size was apparently used on an SVO Mustang, of some BMWs, and this car, pretty much. Michelin does make them.
And these are new tires, but it's like the past owner put new tires on it, couldn't pass smog, parked the car. So these have almost no miles on them, but they are 20 years old.
Yeah, they're 23-year-old tires with you can still see the little casting marks in them.
They're probably as hard as the metal.
Pretty much.
Wheel.
If you let all the air out of them, they're so stiff that they don't even sink.
Yeah, some run flat.
I am gonna put it to Cars and Coffee on these if my new wheels don't come in.
So as we said, the car sat for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So you're wanting to rebuild the carbs and change all the rubber hoses, right? That's what's going on here. Everything rubber was hard. Is this an old one here?
Yeah.
It's kind of split on the end. I'm sure you had to cut that.
That's
to
a
get
cut,
it off.
but you can see it's all bellied out right here. That's just not good.
Ready to burst.
Yeah, none of that is any good. This is new and old. I brought this to the store for patterns. But yeah, the carburetors are gone through. They're not cleaned externally, but they're clean inside where it counts. You can't see them when they're on the car. The air filter pretty much comes down on both sides, almost to the bottom. So
right.
There we go. Look at those beauties. Taking off the carburetors, not fun. Well, it's fun, but it's kind of aggravating. You can get to about 3 nuts on each carburetor fairly easily. This one I did manage to take off some this crossover tube and such, and I did get one off. So you can see that the way this sits and the way this is, really can't confuse which carburetor this is, so there's no reason really to mark it or anything like that. But this one is going to be cleaned up and gotten ready for rebuild. So now to take those other 3 off. Disassembled this carburetor. Well, it didn't disassemble it, just took the top off, and I don't know how much you can see down. Let me see if I can tilt it down. So looking down in there, you see that there's actual gasoline. It smells bad, but it's not solid varnish, which is kind of cool to say that it'll be a whole bunch easier to clean. Just have to kind of spray out everything out, take the jets out and spray through them. But it's really bad news if you see a crust of old nasty varnish down at the bottom of it. It's pretty nice to see liquid gas, even though it smells bad. But that's kind of cool, kind of neat. Hopefully they won't be too bad. I'll just have to clean them up real good, put kits in them, and they should be good to go. Tuning them is going to be another thing, but we'll learn that as we go.
And actually, we found out you can't take the air filter off with the hood on the car.
Right, you can only take the cover off. And then the air filter itself, the element, nope. It literally has to. But then again, if you're changing the air filter, that's at 30,000 miles, and that's when everything's due. So you're doing the timing belts and everything when you're changing the air filter. So it's fine.
So at 30,000 miles, you have to do the timing belt on this?
Yeah, 30,000 miles or 5 or 10 years. I don't remember what it was. It's in the manual.
And
but
how many miles are on this car?
56,000 total.
Okay, so they actually drove this one.
Oh, yeah, they did. They not only, you can tell they not only drove it from the mileage on the indicator, but the damage, the rock chips and things on it that I'm going to have to go through and repair. It definitely got used.
Right. Now, how much of it is factory paint, do you think?
I personally think from when I buffed it, I got the most red on my buffing wheel from just this roll bar. like here around.
So everything else is base
Pretty-
coat, clear coat.
Yeah, pretty sure that everything else has been repainted. It didn't give me much.
So they just used single stage from Ferrari
Yeah,
in 79?
yeah, it would have been single stage. I thought it would have been lacquer, but it doesn't seem to be crazing like lacquer would do after this amount of time. So I'm pretty sure that it's at least some sort of enamel.
Right. So guys, you can see there's new rubber in the coolant passages, new water pump.
Belts are fresh. You know, there's a lot of new parts going back in right now.
Timing belt has already been done, covers back on.
Yeah, I actually made this special Ferrari tool. See, it's labeled. That is to hold the cams from spinning when you're doing the timing belts while they're off. You do not want one of the cams to flip and spin out of time. So you lock them down with one of these, which I had to manufacture. That took most of my day.
And this is one of the only Ferraris, honestly, that you can do this kind of maintenance without pulling the engine, right?
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a milestone. For probably 20 years, this engine has not turned over. So I've soaked the cylinders in Marvel Mystery Oil and removed all the plugs, and we're going to turn it over for the first time, well, since I've had it. So here we go. Just going to rotate it by hand, if it does. Don't have leverage with the camera where it is. I'm going to rearrange the camera. Oh yeah, look at there. Nice and smooth. Very cool. So the next thing I'll do as I take these things apart, I'm taking off the air conditioner compressor and then the covers that expose the timing belts. So I'll be changing the water pump as well. I'm going to set it to top dead center, and then everything else will commence. If you go to an extreme like an F40, you literally have to split the entire car in half and take the engine out of the cradle to do the timing belts or any major maintenance. But every other Ferrari, you have to do something serious with, whether it's drop the cradle, drop the engine out of the bottom, pull the engine, whatever. But this one, everything can be accessed from both sides and the top. You can do a valve adjustment in the car, tune up all the stuff that you would need to fool with.
That's pretty close. I mean,
yeah, it's kind of a pain, but it's all shims, and you can get them in and out. I'm sure some get dropped, and you have to do things over. But as long as you don't drop it in the engine, it's okay.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
You want to plug these.
Yeah, don't drop anything in those. 4 carburetors go on top of there. It's got 2 different distributors, and you're keeping all that stock, right? I
did desmog it, which means take off the charcoal canister and a bunch of other California stuff. The EGR valve is going to be coming off soon. It did have dual points with a switch here that would actuate and throw it into the more retard points at idle. I removed that, so now it's only got 2 sets of points instead of 4 sets of points to worry about adjusting. So little things like that just to kind of make it simpler, cleaner, and just run better.
Right, and I'm sure it'll be easier to kind of troubleshoot, I guess, if you're having an issue.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to be looking for some vacuum leak on some system that isn't even necessary at times.
Now, there were some things on this car that you didn't like when you got it. There was a sound system. There was an amp back here tucked away.
Yeah. Anybody want it?
Well, he threw it across the...
Yeah, it's junk. I was kidding.
So what year do you think this was all redone? Like early 2000s?
Maybe. The tires and such were from 2010. So, right, yeah. The tires are from 2010 or 11, something like that. Probably then, yeah. So
yeah.
Probably before that.
That style of amp, I think it's a Walmart amp, honestly.
Yeah.
It's
Power
not
bank.
high dollar.
Power bank.
Power bank.
Yeah.
That looks like an early 2000s amp.
I think that's about right.
It's huge, and it's probably 30 watts of channels.
Yeah, and it didn't sound good at all. It sounded pretty terrible.
Yeah. There is ostrich skin on the dash.
That's one of the mods I do not like, but whatever. At this point, it's done so well. Like he was an upholsterer. He's still around. He is an upholsterer, and the job was done to perfection. You'll notice something here. It has these containers or compartments under here that would have not been on a 79 308. It would have had just a little elastic bag, the
Right.
little
map pocket. I guess you can call
pocket is a good word for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you keeping the steering wheel two-tone?
I don't want to, because going back to it, it's not original. It would have been all black and a lot thinner than that. My fear is if I go to undoing his stitching, which is quite nice, and pulling it off, I'll end up with maybe messing up the leather. He might have glued it, and I have no way to tell if he glued it to original leather.
Right.
There's that. And then I thought about maybe painting it.
Yeah, dyeing it. It is touched a lot.
Paint the whole thing black.
Yeah, you could try that, but like you said, it's a big risk on that steering wheel.
Yeah, for both things. The other things, just leave it like it is and whatever it.
Right.
Now,
just from here, we talked about this in the first episode, but just from here, I can see 4 prancing horses.
Yeah.
How many are on this car?
I didn't recount them, but I mean, I don't think the one on the ashtray is original. I believe they added that one. Pretty certain. I'm not 100%. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at 4 just at a quick glance, and if you count the keychain, 5.
Right.
So, but
they wanted you to know this was a Ferrari.
Yes, absolutely. And such a big change from the previous car, the Dino, that this took the place of, which was not even called a Ferrari. It was just Dino.
Dino.
They didn't even call, because Ferraris were meant to have V12s. And if it didn't have a V12, we couldn't put their name on it.
Right. And we've talked about this off camera, but just in the last few years, the Dinos have skyrocketed in price.
Yeah.
There was a time you can get one for 20 grand, and now that you add 100 grand to that now.
Yeah, and even the car that this was built immediately after, the 308 GT4, was also badged as a Dino. Then they realized that it wasn't selling, I guess,
right?
And built this and finally said, hey, fine, it's a Ferrari. Okay.
And you did talk to me about these black badges. That's not stock. They just painted the chrome ones?
Yeah, unfortunately. They sanded and painted I got the Ferrari badge on the deck lid cleaned. This is supposed to be chrome. This one is black normally with a white insert, and this one would be chrome, I think, with a black insert in the lines. But I'm probably just going to do them all back chrome, like stock.
And I don't know if you guys can see well, but this one is cracked.
Yeah, that one's going to get repaired and polished. They're all going to get polished and put back on. Once I get to I can't wait till it's mechanically sound and I can start getting into cosmetics. That's going to be a good day when we hear it run, hopefully later this week, and then we can start to work on things like take off the taillights and clean that.
You guys can see there's still an air condition compressor in here. Is that staying?
It almost didn't, because to put it back in when I was doing the timing belt, it was the hardest part, to tell you the truth, and it still is. I'm not finished. Tonight I'm supposed to work on that part because that was my stopping point. I have to shim that and get it all tightened up.
Right. And it still has Freon in it?
It's not, let's say, empty. It has a positive pressure on the system, which isn't much, but at least it's not air.
Right. Now, is this the only trunk on the car?
No, it has a front trunk, but it's not very useful. When it's full of spare tire, it has a cover that covers all these accessories and whatnot, brake parts and things like that, that comes around and follows this curvature. You're supposed to slide a spare tire in here upside down and bolt it down. Well, once you do that, your front trunk space is literally the inside of a wheel. So it's not much.
Yeah, I can't even pick up milk at the
barely pick up milk. And the rear one, while bigger, gets hot, so you also can't put milk in it.
That's what I was going to ask next, is how hot does it get in there?
It's right above, especially on an American spec car, it's right above the cats. So,
so it gets really hot.
They run hot. In fact, the reason that the deck lid has a U-shaped grill in it where the Europeans don't is because we had to put the stupid catalytic converters on, and it built up so much heat under the hood, they added a huge chunk of ventilation over the top of the engine.
I see this car has the ultimate 80s exotic car thing, flip-up headlights. Do they work?
Oh, yeah, let me turn on the battery. I had the battery turned off so nobody would inadvertently hit the key while I had the engine apart. So that's all done. I can turn the battery switch back on. It's always a good idea when you're doing timing belts to disconnect the the battery. Okay, and then to turn them on, you flip it down. So you can ride with them like this with the park lights on. Oh, the grill fell.
Yeah, the vent's not in there. Oh, did we just jack it up?
No, it's just under.
Okay. And here is the Ferrari flag that has been in the background of the 240 videos, and you guys have probably not noticed it.
I'll just drape it over fancily like that.
Let's show them that nice crooked Ferrari badge on the
Yeah,
back.
so these cars are hand built. They made each one, one off each by hand. And it's really aggravating, but the badge is actually slightly crooked.
Yeah, you can see that compared to the bottom there.
So that is not going to get fixed.
And that one was also black, you said, right?
It was painted black. I was able to paint stripper that one. It's not far off, but it was crooked enough that I was like, man, well, this is not right. They just drilled the holes quickly and I guess didn't have a jig and to make it straight. But yeah, it's a little bit crooked, but it's fine. I mean, it's not something I would change because it's the way the car came.
Right. That's something Luigi did, so you got to leave it.
Right. I wouldn't modify it in that way just because.
All right, guys. Well, we wanted to get some footage of the car before he gets it running, which will be this week, hopefully.
Well, that's the hope that A, it does run, and B, that we can get it finished and put together by Thursday.
Right.
Tonight I won't get a bunch done. I might mess with that horrendous AC compressor, but hopefully tomorrow night and the rest of the week I can get enough done that Thursday night, maybe as late as Friday night. Saturday may be the test run. I might have to get towed home, who knows? But it
won't be your first time.
No, but it may be the test run for the final repair.
Yeah, good. So we're going to try to be here to film that car start up for its very first time. So until then, whatever you have, just drive it.